Live was good, Charles. Your man DL saying, welcome. I really want to know podcast. Oh man. I was going to try and talk about some red pill dating stuff, man, but I can't get my mind off of what happened at Appalachia High and was that Wilder, Georgia today. Uh Four people lost their lives. There's two students and two teachers. Nine others were wounded. Looks like a 14-year-old boy is responsible. This is Georgia. We're gonna look at a press conference, but I just couldn't really sit here and talk about dating and the sexual marketplace and that stuff with that on my mind. So let's just, we're gonna talk about responsibility, man. Should parents be held responsible when their kids do horrific things? Um, let's get into it. And we are live. What's good, y'all? Welcome to the I Really Want to Know podcast, y'all. Yes, some indeed, man. I just have this conversation, bro. Like, because man, we definitely have to understand and accept that this is the world we're in. And this is something that it ain't going away. Dr. B's in the building. What's good, fam? Dr. B is saying these situations have been getting out of hand. I remember when Columbine happened in 1999, and that was a shock back then. It was. Now people are getting used to these shootings. Shaking my head, right? It happens all the time. The first thought that pops in your head when breaking news happens and it's about some sort of active shooter, some kid at some school doing horrible things. The first thing that pops into your mind, I know the first thing that pops in my mind is, I wonder where the next one's going to be. Because you look from Columbine to Shady Hook to this. It's just so many. So many times we were faced with this, bro. And people are looking for these magic bullet fixes, man, a fix for this, and it's not that easy. This is a very complex, a very nuanced thing. Brother Joe Cool's in the building. What's up, man? I sent you an email, bro. Sent you an email because I was thinking about, like, Brother Joe Cool and I were having this conversation earlier when I went live real quick just to put the information out there for those who didn't know. And Joe and I were talking. The link didn't work. All right, bro. I'm just gonna drop it right here, bro. I'm just gonna drop the link right here, man. Um, so there's the link, and I'm just gonna drop it right there. And then, Brother Joe, when you come back, I'm gonna do a quick monologue up front, but then I'm gonna bring you up, man. So no rush, no hurry to jump back there because I'm gonna leave you in the back room. I'm gonna leave you in the back chat for a hot second anyway. And as soon as Brother Joe Cool jumps on, I'm gonna remove the link, and then I'll drop it again later after we have our conversation. But yeah, just you can jump back there and I just keep in the back chat for a minute. I just want to make sure that link works so I can remove the one I just posted. Um, and we were saying in the other live, it was like, well, shouldn't there be some parental responsibility here? Base was talking about it. Um, it is what it is. Joe said he's getting the headphones. All right, cool. I'm gonna leave the link until I see you in the back chat. We got Brother Pitney in the building. What's good, fam? Yeah, we're talking about something. This is gonna be a heavy conversation, bro. But it's a conversation that needs to be had. Tomorrow. I mean, we can always, we always have time to talk about the dating stuff and getting your money up and fitness and all that kind of stuff together. We always got time for that. But this, we got to definitely, we got to have this conversation. And Brother Joe Cool, I just look forward to having him up here, man. We can get this conversation going. He definitely wanted to talk, to give me his take on it. But I do believe there should be some parental responsibility, bro. It should be some parental responsibility out there. Um, you know, Frequently asked questions, FAQ to madness. Yeah, man. Good evening to you as well. So yeah, Joe, I'm gonna remove that link. I see you back there. I see you back there, bro. So yeah, I'm gonna finish this monologue and I'm gonna bring you up, man. I appreciate you. It's gonna be a good. We got an OG out of Chicago area, bro. I can't wait to hear what Brother Joe Cool has to say. We're definitely gonna get into it in a very respectful way. Like that's how we get down over here, man. I'm not about the clicks and views and the yelling back and forth, man. We're really trying to get to the bottom of stuff over here, bro. We're really trying to figure some things out as best we can, and just have an open conversation so people can kind of help think their way through it. So we're definitely going to start with uh let's start with the latest press conference. They just had this press conference about 10 minutes ago. Let's start with the press conference and kind of listen to the information that they have to date. This is the most current information. You're going to have representatives from the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. You're going to have the sheriff from this area who is responsible for the school district. And then you're also going to have the superintendent of the schools there in this district, county, or whatever the case may be here, speaking as well. So let's listen to what they have to say here.
Chris Hosey, director of the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, and we wanted to come back this afternoon and present you with a little more of a timeline of the events that have taken place here today and what we know up to this point with the investigation. At approximately 10:20 a.m. this morning, the Bexar County Sheriff's Office received alerts about reports of an active shooter and radio traffic from school resource officers concerning the same concern or having the same concern. Within minutes, law enforcement was on scene, as well as 2 school resource officers assigned here to the school who immediately encountered the subject within just minutes of this report going out. Once they encountered the subject immediately surrendered to these officers and he was taken into custody. Additionally, what I want you to know as of now, there are 4 individuals who are deceased from this incident, 9 that have been taken to local hospitals with various injuries. Of those that are deceased, 2 are students and 2 are teachers here at the school. The priority right now for us within this investigation is to gather all the facts, to make sure that we're accurate with it, because this is a murder investigation. As the sheriff mentioned earlier this morning, the shooter is in custody. His name is Colt, that's C-O-L-T, Gray. He is a 14-year-old student here at the school, G-R-A-Y. He is a 14-year-old student here at the high school. Again, he has been taken into custody. He will be charged with murder and he will be tried as an adult and handled as an adult. We're coordinating these charges and obviously this investigation with District Attorney Brad Smith, who is the District Attorney for the Piedmont Judicial Circuit here. Since earlier this morning we talked with you and since the incident occurred, numerous interviews have been taking place through our investigation with students, faculty, as well as any other witnesses that we could identify. Law enforcement had a very, very swift response to this incident once the incident was determined that there was a concern here. Those resources, whether it was in that response or throughout this investigation to assist, came obviously from the sheriff's office here, from other local law enforcement agencies, state law enforcement agencies, and federal law enforcement agencies as well. To include, not to be left out, multiple EMS personnel, multiple fire personnel, and agencies. Those agencies responded here as well today, and I am extremely grateful, as I know the sheriff is, for that quick response and the partnerships of working here together with what all has gone on.
So, we go through this every time, we these things happen, and then, these men and women, they have to come forward, they have to handle these press conferences, man. The emotions have to be just extreme. You're dealing with children, and a lot of people are saying, well, young kids and children, and a lot of people are like, well, there's no difference, blah, blah, blah. Man, it is a difference, man. Like if anywhere you would take your kids to be safe, you would think it's school. But I mean, like I said, it's the world we're living in right now. Old Joe's in the building. What's good, fam? Dr. B is like, oh, they're gonna try him as an adult. Yeah, man, that's Georgia, bro. Georgia, Florida, Texas, Ohio, man, they don't play. You go out here, yeah, they're gonna try you as an adult, 14 years old. And we'll talk about that a little bit as well. We got Joe Cool in the background standing by, but I wanted to at least get through the press conference here so you guys get up to speed on what's going on. 14-year-old boy, his name is Colt Gray, student of the school, goes in with the weapon, deleted 4 people, wounded 9 others. It seems that law enforcement, like the resource officer who was at the school, was able to engage him fairly quick within minutes after all this happened. You just look at the carnage he was able to do in that short amount of time. Within 10, 15 minutes, heavy law enforcement presence, emergency responders were there as well. They did their job. This is definitely not, a botched effort on the part of law enforcement. It's not some Uvalde kind of episode here. Law enforcement did their thing. So, my hat's off to them.
Currently, from the investigative perspective, we have crime scene agents and other special agents from the GBI, from close to a dozen of our different work units from across the state that have responded here today to work on this investigation. Again, collecting evidence, conducting interviews, and so forth. I do want to pass this along, that if anyone has any information that wants to be passed on concerning this investigation, that they can do that anonymously at our tip line at 1-800-597-TIPS or 1-800-597-8477. They can also report this on by downloading the See Something, Send Something app. That can be done by Android or Apple phones, either one. If they need to report any tips concerning this investigation. Let me close out before I turn this over to the sheriff, and let you just remind you that this is still a very active investigation. There is still a lot that is very fluid. There's still a lot of interviews to be conducted that will continue on into the night, as well as crime scene work and collecting and gathering evidence. But what is more important for me to mention here to you is my heartfelt sympathy to the parents, the students that were here today. Regardless of where they were in the school, this has got a great impact on them as well as on this community. My thoughts and prayers, along with everybody standing behind me and every law enforcement agency in this state, and many I will tell you around this country, they are in our thoughts and prayers, and we will continue with that. We ask for your patience as we continue through this, and we'll continue to try to give you as many updates with information as we can to keep you informed. But thank you for being here. I'm now going to turn it over to Bexar County Sheriff Judd Smith. Thank you.
And, he's going to talk to this sheriff. And the sheriff is the guy, the bald-headed, bearded man, gentleman in the back with the black shirt. He's going to come up and speak. I just wanted, before he starts talking, I just want to throw it out there, just my observation. He looks like, and I've heard a part of his his speech when it was live. This was a few minutes ago. So I heard a little bit of it when I was prepping to set up for this show. And I mean, my takeaway from this gentleman is he's a caring man. I would venture to say that he's a God-fearing man, probably a church-going man. Right? He's in the background and he's rocking back and forth. This is really a challenge for him to maintain his emotions and handle this press conference. And what must be running through his mind, the things that he knows that we don't know, and it's things that he can't speak on yet because it's an ongoing investigation. But I think he did a really good job in handling his part of the press conference. But I wanted to start off by saying that part up front. This guy, he looks like a younger sheriff. I don't know how long he's been in office, but he doesn't strike me as someone who's abusing power or anything like that, or someone who has, I'm going to go out here with a vendetta against whoever. He doesn't strike me as that. Again, you just never know. Sister Leb, Red Lipstick Vibes is in the building. What's good, sis? And he was definitely trying to hold together. Sister Jody's in the building as well. What's good? We're talking about the latest active shooting at a high school, this time in Georgia. Yeah, man, he did hold it together, and salute to him. And I'm thinking this is probably the first time he's had to deal with something like this on his level. Like he's in the national spotlight. So let's continue.
Call your name, please. HOSEY. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Sheriff Judge Smith of the Bexar County Sheriff's Office. I never imagined that I would be speaking to the media in my career over something that happened today, the pure evil that happened today.
Yeah, pure evil.
I cannot thank the people behind me for the support they give me today, to give this office and give this staff. This hits home for me. I was born and raised here. I went to school in this school system. My kids go to this school system. I'm proud of this school system. My heart hurts for these kids. My heart hurts for our community. But I want to make it very clear that hate will not prevail in this county. I want that to be very clear and known. Love will prevail over what happened today. I assure you of that. It is very early as to what happened. Governor Kemp reached out to me and has provided me every single resource that he has to make sure justice prevails. I don't know why it happened. I may not ever know. We may not ever know. But I ask that you and our community lift up our schools, lift up our public safety, and that, again, we do not let this hateful event prevail as to what happened today. I want to thank the surrounding agencies and counties and cities and state and federal authorities that have come and provided us, because they prevented a lot of more tragic events from happening. Continue to lift up these families, continue to lift up our students and our kids, and know that love will prevail. At this time, I'm going to ask Dr. LaDuff, our school superintendent, to come and speak.
And then when he had these remarks and we said these things, he left out a couple words here and there, and I get it. I mean, it's hard enough to do YouTube with one camera, just talking to a few people, like 30 people here, whatever, or performing. I can perform in front of thousands of people, but that's a routine that I practiced and I got it locked in. This man he woke up today, he went to work, he's doing his normal, course of business, and then this happens. And like you said, he grew up there. He went to school in the school district. This is his home. This is his soil. He is the sheriff. And I mean, you feel helpless. You must feel helpless. And you got to pick up the pieces and sort it all out and figure out what happened. And you're the guy, and you can see the emotion. He knows that there are 4 families affected by this. There's 4 families lost a loved one today. 4 families. 2 of those families lost children, right? The other 2 might lost mom, lost a mom, lost a dad, lost a brother, sister, uncle, aunt. It's senseless. It's senseless. You got some 14-year-old kid with the weapon. We still don't have any details as to what type of weapon was used and all that. But I just want to throw that out there, man. I would hate to be in his shoes, but that's what happens when you take on that type of responsibility. This is what you have to deal with. I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible, and I'm pretty sure that everyone in America, I'm sure it's safe to say that everyone in America feels for this man and is pulling for him, and hopefully he can get this right. And they still have to do everything right. They screw some up, and this kid gets off on a technicality. That's going to be his responsibility to bear. So they got to make sure they do everything right. They have to make sure they follow the book. They have to make sure this kid doesn't get roughed up. They have to make sure that he's properly Mirandized. There's so many things that they have to do and do properly because you don't want to screw this up. You want this one, this one right here, this little kid, this 14-year-old needs to go to prison. And people are like, oh, it's just crazy, cruel and unusual punishment. You're going to put a 14-year-old in jail with, grown men. Yep. Look at what he did.
Half of the school.
Good afternoon. I'm Dallas LaDuff. I'm the superintendent of Bexar County School System. I want to thank the Bexar County Sheriff's Office and all of our law enforcement partners for their swift response today, along with that of our staff. I'd also like to thank our community for their response and patience as we work to reunify the students with their families here today and secure the rest of our school campuses. Our schools will be closed for the remainder of this week as we cooperate fully with law enforcement to get answers to the many questions that we all have about this incident here today. But as we are closed, our central offices will remain open, where we will have grief counseling available for our community every day this week and thereafter as we support each other through this terrible event. In closing, I just want to say to our community, as a school system, we are here for you, we support you, and we are ready to get you any support that you may need as we grieve through this together. Thank you.
Those kids ain't gonna want to go back to school. I mean, they're closing down school. They're probably closing down, athletics. There's probably not going to be a football game Friday night. Like you see, I was just looking at images of the campus, man. It's a very, very nice campus. Whatever sports are out there, like the band's not going to get together. And I know you people like, man, why would you bring that up? Like, well, kids need that. People need that. My daughter would be crushed if she couldn't go perform. She loves the band. When I played high school football, man, I'd be crushed if I couldn't play that game. You got the other kids now. Of course, your mind ain't right. You don't want to go play that game, but man, could we postpone it? Could we play it at a later date? You never know. Like, I mean, is the team even going to survive this horrific event? It ripples out right in all directions, and it affects so many things that most of us don't even think about.
Sheriff, you're saying hate will not prevail in this community. Are you investigating this as some sort of hate crime?
Well, shortly, if someone decides to take a firearm into a school where kids are given an education or entitled to an education and want to harm others, to me, it's hateful.
You see how they come after the sheriff. Of course, he's not saying it's a hate crime in the sense that somebody came in here and to target a certain race or gender or something like that. I mean, maybe, we don't know, but I could tell clearly when the sheriff said what he said, it was more to do with a religious standpoint. Hate will not prevail. Love will overcome. We're not going to live in hate and fear here. I understood what he was saying. This is why I don't like reporters, man. I guess on the one hand, they have to ask these questions, but on the other, it's like, come on, man. But, I guess that reporter will be remiss in his duties if he didn't get clarification. Like, what are you saying? Are you saying that this is a hate crime, which is something completely different? And the sheriff was like, nah, but certainly if you bring a firearm to school and you target innocent people, that's motivated by hate. I get where he's coming from.
Talk about the initial interaction between whoever was able to stop the shooter. Can you describe that to us? How did it go down? What exactly happened?
Obviously, the shooter was armed, and our school resource officer engaged him. And the shooter quickly realized that if he did not give up, that it would end with an OIS, or an officer-involved shooting. He gave up, got on the ground, and the deputy took him into custody.
Sheriff, any idea how the weapon got inside the school? And was there any warning that this was going to happen?
Not that I'm aware of. Again, very early, and we're still looking into that, whether or not, or how he obtained it and how he got it in the school.
Sure. Has he been in touch at all with his parents or his family to learn more about what led up to these moments?
We have.
Any information you can share?
No.
What kind of weapon was it seems like you have a large Hispanic population. Have you been able to communicate with the people in their language to make sure that everybody knows what's happening?
Yes, sir, I have. The school and our office has people that speak in Spanish, and they have spoke to those folks as well. Yes.
Sheriff, is the shooter speaking with the law enforcement now?
Sorry.
Is the shooter talking? Is he saying why?
The shooter was interviewed, and he was speaking with our investigators earlier, along with the GBI. It is helping our investigation. None that I'm aware of.
Were all 9 injured victims shot?
In some capacity, yes.
Sheriff, can you tell us about the 2 individuals deceased and was one targeted?
We don't know of any targets at this point. We have not identified that at this point. No.
Sheriff, is there a connection?
This is the last question I'm gonna take.
Sheriff, is there a connection between the shooter and the victims?
None that I'm aware of.
All right, so that sheriff did a good job. He did a good job. You know, and Brother Michael is saying if your child is a pure, right, you know, does something like this, it's because you are or were emotionally neglectful parent and either rejected your child consistently of required your child to parent you. Right. So either you rejected your child. So I get where you're coming from, and that's what we have Brother Joe Cool here, because we're gonna get into that, man. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is the parental responsibility aspect of all this. So you know, Brother Joe Cool and I, man, like shout out to you, fam. I know you wanted to talk to me early. Don DeMarco, for you for coming on, bro.
Don DeMarco.
Now you know where I stand on this, bro. And like I said,
first I want to say that was very professional. You did very fucking well. I love the way you did that. You flowed. You engaged the audience. Jumped back. You looked very professional doing that shit. I wanted to say that first.
I appreciate that, man. You know, I'm trying to get up to your numbers, man. I went over to you and I'm like, hey, bro, you know what I'm saying? Oh, bro, he a real one over here. Like, look what the I'm trying to get over here. But can you tell everybody kind of before we get into it? Tell everybody kind of what you're into, like where you are, because what you're doing is extremely important. You know what I mean?
Thank you for
like,
that.
yeah, bro, because we need folks keeping an eye on law enforcement. And I think people like you and the people in your world across the country, you guys are responsible for body cams. I think you guys are responsible for bad cops getting taken off the street and getting locked up. So can you tell everybody what you do, bro?
Yeah, I'm sure anybody in here. Well, I don't know that, but I saw some friends of mine in here. I filmed the police. I'm a cop watcher, what you might call a cop watcher, what you might mistakenly call an auditor. They're the ones that go indoors. I mostly film the cops on the street and hold them accountable. And put up videos. We, you know, might have to FOIA records, whatever, in attempts to hold these cats accountable. DL, you make me think how radical I am. You know, you make me realize that, holy fuck, am I that far gone, Joe? That's all I'm thinking, bro.
I mean, but it's brave, bro. You got to be brave. It's radical in a different way, man. People say I was radical for jumping out of airplanes. You know, there are people who got to be radical to run into burning buildings to save somebody's cat. You know what I mean? Yes. But like, you need it, bro.
I'm really far gone, and you know, play your role. Don't, you know, I want you to pull me back because I realize how far I'm gone. That was like torture for me watching that, and I'm going to give it to you in the real. You deserve that. When I see that, I can't stand that part. First of all, I don't want my public officials getting emotional. I don't want you getting on camera talking about how fucking emotional you are. You know, leave that to the parents and shit. This is not your time to tout out every one of your fucking agencies that ain't been there all year and talk about these guys are great and without the bullshit, 3 officers handled it. The rest of you niggas can get the fuck on because you still don't have nothing new to tell me. Get the fuck on. They gonna spend 20 minutes talking about it. Bill flew up from Portland. Thank you for all his support. And without the sheriff, my ass. Maybe you could have did something toward prevention. This ain't your time to tout your fucking stripes and how great you are. So I watched that shit with all grrr when I watched that shit.
I see. And y'all see, you already see how this conversation is gonna go. So as far as monetization, I don't care. It's one of those things where these conversations need to be had from time to time. Now,
yes, I went the right got to.
Right, but I'll take it from the other side. I see you in the building. Last good man in Jersey's in the building. I'll take it from the other side of that. You know, when you're elected as, like, you get one of these elected official jobs, especially as a sheriff, it's not like you generally came up from as a patrolman somewhere, work your way up through the ranks of some busy law enforcement entity somewhere.
Going, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And got the HR training and all that. You know, because you know I'm always talking about training with law enforcement. That's my biggest thing. Again, I'm all in with this guy. I get you. He shouldn't be emotional. He's fighting it back. He knows he shouldn't be
No,
emotional.
that guy in particular, I took less offense with. That
Yeah.
was if there's one guy who I thought did well, it was that guy. He didn't do all the. You guys are great. I saw that he was coming from the heart. However, he's been taught that. You know, you can tell he's not slick and polished like the rest of them. He came from a
Right.
place in the heart, and I gotta love him and admire him for that. However, they are using him as a tool. They
Yeah.
want him emotional. They want someone from the hometown so we can punish somebody. They're gonna bring out a crying mom next at the next one. You know, they're gonna play this shit.
Yeah, that's what they do, and that's and this is why people need to be able to think this is the smoke and mirrors of it all. You know, these same people we just saw, we giving this guy credit. We might see him 2 weeks from now
We
on,
will.
you know, somebody's program, either on the left or on the right, saying,
Yeah.
you know, pro this or anti that or whatever. You know, someone's gonna want to use them for votes, like we're running up to, like we're in the final stages of an election.
Of
All I
course,
wanna-
this
yeah,
will be played for votes from one side or the other, or he will
right.
be pointed at as a lousy so and so from the other side. You know, yes, it will be no genuine anything in
No,
this.
and Georgia's in play. Like, it's another thing too. Georgia is one of the swing
Interesting.
states that's in play. The
Yeah,
Republicans
it's
normally own Georgia, but they don't. And Trump is under indictment in Georgia for the voter fraud thing.
think
Think about all that's going on right now, bro. Like Kemp and Trump, you know, be having back and forth, be having static. So, you know, again, you see how far and how quick we got away from the fact that 2 babies and 2 grown-ups lost their life today. You
So
see how
what do we
fast we got
do?
away from that?
So what do we do? Because I don't need this, and I don't mean me and you here.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean this whole event to turn into a crying session and motherfuckers venting their fucking feelings and emotionals, because that's all they do. All they do is they run out and say, kill the gunman who did it. You know, in this case, 14-year-old. I'm sorry if you can say a K word up here. Get in the guy who did it. Put them behind bars, no matter what. Be harsh, harsh, harsh. Matter of fact, while you're at it, kill the parents and I said it again. Beat up the parents and do this and that. You know, they come out with all that emotion. I'm interested more in prevention. I don't go. This won't be the last school shooting. We gonna have one every 30 fucking days. Is there anything prevention you can do, or can you just come out and show me how emotional you can respond after something has happened? You know, I don't like them being emotional. I already said that 18 times. Is there prevention here? Are we going to talk about that? It does a conversation then after we put dude in jail, perhaps jail his parents, and take away a few gun rights in his neighborhood. Then we're done. Is that how this goes? And we keep redoing this process?
Yeah, you touch on a few things. I don't think, well, I know for a fact they're not going to infringe on any Second Amendment rights. I already know that. Although they're going to try, this is Georgia. You're not going to infringe on any Second Amendment rights. Now, what they may do is enact some more common sense laws, which already should be on the books, but that's not going to change a kid or anybody else from getting a firearm and doing horrible things. So, to
Yes.
your point, how do we fix it? Right?
Yes.
Americans are programmed for that one solution fix, that magic bullet, right? They just want to fix it like that. Well,
Yes.
if we,
Yes.
you know, like, if we just make
One law here, everything will be it'll
Right.
all violence and school shootings will end with this law.
we
One
got a
law.
law that says the powder version of this thing, this opiate, is not as harsh as the hard version of this opiate. So we made a law so we can lock up people of color, people who are poor, who can only afford the T version, to go to jail for all this time. But the powder version, you get a smack on the hand. How did that turn out? That ain't work. You know what I mean? That's
Yes.
stupid.
Right.
how
Their
do-
solutions may even be dumb that they come up with. What are some the solutions will be long term. You were heading in that area. I was about to say, what are some of the solutions? They will be. That environment cannot be like that for that kid. And that's a heavy conversation. That's a big conversation. There's not one law that's going to make him not be bullied or under pressure to think whatever he thought today and shot a bunch of motherfuckers. Your
Right.
quick action here, making a law and hurting someone, won't change that.
It won't change that at all. So my point is there is no quick solution or no magic solution is going to fix it all tomorrow. But what we can do, we talked about this. Like okay, we're going to get more armed individuals to protect these locations. Well, that costs money, and ain't nobody.
Wait. Doesn't cost a dime. My solution was you stole that rights to begin with. That was your fucking faux pas, your mistake. You should be on your knees apologizing. Now, to solve this problem, anybody is less likely to walk up there when everyone has their gun rights. Any adult up there could possibly be armed. Kid has to think 89 times. He's not gonna walk in there so fucking fast now.
I'm with you on that, but here's the thing: who is ultimately financially responsible? Let's say that you got some weirdo mom, weirdo dad, wanna be Green Beret, wanna be Navy SEAL, didn't want to join the military because he was too scared, but he's got all his gear and all these weapons, and he goes up to the school and he engages someone and he accidentally deletes.
No. Okay, I guess that's feasible. I hadn't thought of that yet. I was just talking about the staff at school. No Green Beret Rambo should have to come in there because odds are if there are 50 people, 25 of them in Georgia, maybe more than that, exercise their gun rights. And the kid is not even going to come up in there. And if he does, he's perilous. If 3 people made him put the gun down, what will 20? His ass, he's not going in there.
I hear what you're saying. It's automatically a harder target because law-abiding Americans exercising their Second Amendment right are there, and you got to think about that. Like if I go in here, I know for a fact that Mr. So-and-so and Mrs. So-and-so, they got their weapons.
I know this is Georgia, how they are about shit like this. They are going to be furious. The minute I kick in that door, everybody going to be trying to waste my ass. You got to think like that now.
You got to think like that. And then you have some people who they crashing out. They don't care. They know it. But I hear you a little bit on that. And again, that conversation has been had, arming teachers. Now,
teachers arming themselves. Citizens arming themselves. I'm not talking about anything more, no special programs or anything about that. If we just simply had the right to carry a gun, as is in the Constitution, in my interpretation, things change. We don't have to do anything. Everybody gonna go out and buy their own gun. They're gonna learn the same way I did. It's Georgia. My daddy taught me here in Illinois. Their daddy would have taught them. They hang around each other every day. They would have thought about this. They'd be extra responsible because they're in the school, and they would have talked about what happened. Bill's gonna cover this. Henry's gonna hit the exits. His Sarah's gonna cover it. They'd have it down packed. They'd be professional at this.
Now that's how we think, brother, because of our backgrounds and what we've gone through and our perspective on life. Let's think about the people in those other bubbles, bro. Let's think about them people out there that ain't never seen no real violence, man. They ain't never seen nobody in a fist fight before. They ain't never been hitting them out before. Let's talk about them people.
Right.
Them people
and we got to come out the country too, because them country boys, they going to fight back. So we got to come, I guess, to some square town, where people see no violence and they're not like rednecks. Woo, I can't wait for a fight. They don't have that attitude. They're soft.
Even the rednecks aren't fighting as much as they used to, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, man, because I'm out here with these youngins, man. The rednecks ain't fighting as much as they used to.
But don't come in there cause no fucking trouble in redneck town. Be like coming in my neighborhood causing trouble. Right, them motherfuckers gonna get in there, pick up trucks, and they gonna fucking straighten that shit out.
Right, and even here in Florida, with some of the loosest gun, Florida is close as you can get to constitutional carry. It's real close. Like you don't need any paperwork, no courses. Just you could be from anywhere. If you're in the state of Florida, you don't have a criminal record, you can carry a concealed weapon. Then you don't have to register a weapon. Your weapon you carry. Now here's the thing: with that in place, bro, no one carries.
Well, there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. Here's why. I have friends who live in Florida. I got a stack of them who live in Florida, and all of them do what I do, probably more than any other state. And when they do carry, and I got one, his name's The Armed Fisherman. I'm throwing him a plug right now. Look him up. When you do carry, police put you on the ground, put guns to your head, threaten to take you to jail or do take you to jail. It is scary as fuck to carry, even though it's fucking legal. Again, somebody will call. Excuse me.
Not in the bubble that I'm in. It's those bubbles. Like in the hood, that probably jumps off. Right in the hood, that might jump off. But over here where I'm at, Bro, I be sitting here talking to the police, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Like down here in Hillsborough County Sheriff, shout
Uh,
out to y'all, bro. But I live in a great neighborhood,
my
right?
guy
And
goes to beaches and shit like that, and
yeah,
someone and the people on the beach always, oh, great gun, but someone always calls the police and they come and put them down, and it's a big fucking deal all the time.
yeah. So, but getting back to the thing, like, how do we fix this, man? And this is what you wanted to talk to me about. This part coming up right
Okay,
here.
because I forgot.
I think because you be smoking on that good. Well, I can't
All
wait to
right,
get up
I'll
in
be
the
all
morning.
over the place.
Yeah, I
I'm
can't wait
camped
to go
down
up
so
there.
I can smoke on the good. I don't know if you have any chance in my taxation, I want to ruin it for you totally. So
Oh,
I'm
bro,
gonna smoke.
we way past that, bro.
All
Fuck it, we
right,
just
I
gonna let
can
it
smoke.
ride. Yeah, we just gonna let it ride.
I say go let it ride.
But but here's the thing, man. I really believe that we have to address the parental responsibility
Oh
aspect
yes,
of this. We
yes,
have to.
very good.
And then like I said earlier, like, hey, I got to go get my little girl. I picked up my daughter. She hadn't heard anything about it, so we were riding home, and I told her what's going on, and she was like, "Oh, because I'm like hugging my daughter and I'm kissing her, and I'm telling her what happened, and she's like, okay." When we got home, I asked her, I said, "Hey, if I gave you a weapon, I put it in your backpack,
Very
and you
good.
take it to school,
How old is your kid? I need to know now.
teenager, 15.
Very good.
Yeah,
Perfect.
a year older than this idiot right
Perfect.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you take that weapon to school and then you use it and you hurt people. Should I be in trouble? And my daughter, she sat there for a second. She said, "Yeah, you should be in trouble." And I said, "Why?" She's like, "Because you gave it to me." Right?
It's
This is
nonsense
coming
though,
from the
right?
kid. That's
The
what she.
kid, she's probably been. I'm sure she believes that and all of that stuff, but that's nonsense. If my kid, my 16-year-old, gets a driver's permit and she goes out and hits someone and breaks their legs and shit, no one is saying, "Oh, the daddy should go to jail because he gave her the car." It is the same thing with the guns, right? Or no?
No, well, let's modify that a little bit. Let's
Okay.
say your 12-year-old, 13-year-old kid, your kid who isn't licensed to drive. Let's say
Yeah.
that kid, you gave that kid the car,
Yes.
and
Now,
then that kid ran out and hurt somebody.
that may be maybe a little different because with guns, if you give your kid a 14-year-old, I think it's fine because I was probably that age or somewhere around there when my old man started giving to me. But my old man, before I could ever shoot one, I had to know how to break it down into every part, clean it, and all of that before he would take me to target shoot it. He grew up in the South, and those are the rules and standards. And I've always been responsible with my shit, at least until I got older. I was responsible with the motherfucker. I've hunted all the time, and no one's ever going to tell you that I did anything irresponsible. So the age thing over there is different. My hang up on this one, if you give it to a younger kid, it will be the license bullshit, right? In my head, I'm indoctrinated that he should have a license at this age, and that's probably not true because in real life, people in the country and shit, their kids have to drive much earlier. They have special licenses because they know that they have to drive. Their kids earlier can be more responsible. Even
Yeah.
that's a tricky fucking question.
And I
And if
agree with
that
you.
kid hits somebody while he's out on the farm, does daddy go to jail? Oh, he's
No,
a year
not really,
younger than
because
he's
I
supposed
mean,
to.
that person is trespassing anyway, so it's a different thing. You got kids out there driving tractors.
No,
and
by accident, the kid is doing some
Oh,
farm shit. He has to go to the tractor. He's driving the pickup. He's a year younger. And they have shit where you can be very young. If you live on a farm, they'll give you a special license so you can drive around because they understand these things.
I
That
imagine
kid,
so.
even though he doesn't have the special license, hit someone, should his dad go to jail? No, his dad is not. The kid did something irresponsible.
So, but here's the thing, though. We're talking about responsibility and at what age can a kid be held? I understand that this child's responsible, and I agree with you there. But I'm talking about the irresponsible grown-up who gives a
Yes.
car or a firearm or
Yeah.
some dangerous piece of machinery to a child. Don't
How do
train
we
them up.
judge if he's irresponsible? Yeah, that's what I need to know because we say the irresponsible guy, I immediately get worried. Who determines irresponsible? Because most people think I am irresponsible and they will say, Joe, you don't qualify. When you start doing irresponsible, people like you, and you're about to name off some good shit. People like you won't be in power though. It will be the people who say he didn't get a diploma, he didn't get this, he lost his last 3 jobs, he's irresponsible, and so he's gonna end up going to jail. It's gonna get blurry as fuck.
And that's what we're talking about, because at the end of the stream earlier, I had to go, but that's the last thing I hit on that, because I understand where you're coming from, bro, because we come from that world where they will take, and when I say they, I mean law enforcement, I'm talking about the cop on the street, will take any and everything on the law and skew it to do something to you.
Yes.
Right. It will break the law.
They specialize in
it.
Yes, in breaking the law. I sold drugs all until I started cop watching. I sold drugs the entire time. And I don't believe I was caught selling legit any times, but I got 3 cases for it, all because they decided to put drugs on me. That's how dirty they are. They're not just going to lie to you and say you must ID when you don't. They are going to, in my neighborhood, they are going to grab a pack of drugs off someone when they take them to jail. There might be 30 bags in there. They can grab 30 more people and give them drug cases. That's the way the cops that I grew up get down.
That's the way they are in Cincinnati. Well, it used to be in Cincinnati. It changed. Cincinnati PD was so grimy, they had to bring the FBI in there. The FBI was in there for over a couple decades trying to straighten out that police department.
In Chicago, we got like 6 justice decrees. I laugh when people be like, the Department of Justice has come in and they're looking at our police department and we're going to get a decree and they're going to have to act right finally. It says they're racist and they're targeting minorities. I'll be laughing because, nigga, we on our 6th and they've ignored every fucking rule ever put in front of them. They don't care.
Well, they care now because the cameras are out there. So now they getting caught. And what you're saying about planting evidence and all that, that's out there. You know, we would have these conversations 20 years ago and people think, oh man, you just, whatever.
They think we're lying.
Right. Thought we was lying.
We're lying.
Right. We was lying. You listen to NWA back in the day, fuck the police. Listen to what he was saying. Everything Ice Cube said in that song, you can see now. In real life, in 1040,
back then when he was, everybody was like, "Oh, you can't say those things," and trying to ban them and all of that. Put explicit so and so on your shit. Dude was just telling you shit that now you realize is normal. It's the first of the month. Wake up, because your customer base gets paid their paycheck, their fucking aid check. So you better be ready before your feet hit the ground. That shit was cutting edge at the time. Now everybody knows that shit.
Everybody knows. So, but I think the conversation really centers in my estimation around the responsibility aspect. All right. I really do believe if I were to give a 12-year-old access to my vehicle, let them go drive, and they go out and they hurt people, kill people with that vehicle. Damn, you got me saying the K word. They go out there and they delete people with the vehicle. I'm kind
of with you. I feel like, yes, that guy was responsible. I really hesitated giving the state any authority and all of that bullshit. Before I'd hand it over to the state, you'd have to prove to me that he knew that kid was going to run over Jack down the street because he said, "Dad, I can't stand that motherfucker. And if I had a car, I'd run him down." Now you got my ear. But
you said earlier, like that's like extreme, but it has happened. There's a case out of Michigan where a couple, a mother and father, had to do jail time, but they had the text messages back and forth. They knew what the kid was going to do with the firearm, bro. It's like, come on, man, okay.
I was wondering what kind of proof existed for that, but if they had the text messages, damn,
bro. Yeah, I got the article right here. I might even read it later. I'm like, they got the text messages, and then there was a sister out of Newport News, Virginia. Her kid goes to elementary school, like first grade or something like that. I forget what it was. Pulls out her weapon that he took from her and hit the teacher. Teacher survived, but the woman got like 2 years. But here's the thing though, what they got her on was not being irresponsible with the firearm. What they got her on was smoking marijuana while being the owner of a firearm. That's what she did the 2 years for. That's what she did which goes to your points. That's not why that law was on the books.
Of course, right. Of course not.
That's
Right.
not why that law was
And
on the
I
books.
don't want to see my police using laws like that to do an end around because I'm emotional and you couldn't get them fairly. I know I'm not giving you permission to go around the end and become the Chicago police in the end, where the ends justify the means. In fact, this is a little bit off topic, but I think if a police pulls me over because I got a broken tail light, you don't get to ask me what's in the car, where am I coming from, where am I going. I would end all of that fucking bullshit. Stick to the fucking tail light.
That's a fact. You should be able to say, well, here's a fix-it ticket. There's nothing you need to talk to me about.
And we don't
Okay,
even
let me
need
see your, yeah,
right.
I mean, you know, when they ask for your license and registration, I can see that to make sure you're authorized to drive a vehicle legally and you have
Yeah, it
registration
ain't
that
your.
vehicle. But
I
that's
don't
it
know.
though. You can't be like,
Did you,
well, I
hold
smell.
on. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's all good. So you can see here, even with Brother Joe Cool, old school guy living in Chicago, grew up the way I grew up, had to dealing with law enforcement. You see why it's difficult for some of us to just give that authority away to the government so they can kind of run shot and just do whatever they want to do. You see why there's that hesitation, because that authority has been abused over not just the years,
Yes,
but
I'm
decades.
scarred. I'm
Yeah.
traumatized. All that shit. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm saying, like,
And
even Brother Joe, like, you're sitting here like, you know what? That makes sense to me, Brother DL. Yeah, there is the responsibility. However, you know what I mean? Let's not just give it away now.
I can't trust those guys. You know, even if I agree with you, I can't give it to, the Nazis standing over here, you know what I'm saying, thirsting for a Jew in the 40s. I can't give him over suddenly. Even if he did wrong, I can't handle to this guy. I got a lot of that going on.
Right. So, and I get you on that, bro. I'm with you 100%. But when I see these things, like you said, the emotional part, I ain't gonna lie, it strikes home to me. I got a little one, bro. She in school. You know, I told my daughter today, I don't know what I'd do if I lost you, especially over something like that. It just doesn't make sense. Right, in the best school district, in one of the, I go to my daughter's campus, bro. Blows my mind. I mean, I wish.
I know, right?
They ain't got no drama over there, bro. You go, it's like in the middle, like away from everything, and in a great neighborhood, and it's,
And I was about to say, I go to my nephews, my kids grown. I go to my nephew's school, and it's all races. It's beautiful. Got a planetarium in the school. What?
In the school?
What the fuck? Who has that? What the fuck?
Boy, I didn't even know what a planetarium was when I was in high school, bro. Like, what?
You had to go on trips, damn it, downtown to see that shit.
Yes, to sit in there so they can show you the stars, bro. Like, they got one right here in the school. I mean,
they can do it on lunch period. They go
right.
Oh my God!
Go look at Jupiter. I'm about to go look at Jupiter. I'll be right back. Hey, we couldn't do that when we was coming up, man.
No, we had the Dewey Decimal System. There was no internet. Hey, Google, what is the? No, it took work to find out. If you didn't know the population of Aricway or some shit, you had to fucking get on your bike, go there, take your card that you had to keep updated, and they gave you this real intricate system to find this old shit all on paper cards. It was, it wasn't no hey Google shit.
Nah, get you an atlas. Go find you some
atlases, encyclopedias at the house, and you were
going
lucky.
through pages. Yeah, if you were lucky, old, outdated ones.
Yeah, right. So the population could be totally different because your encyclopedia. But that's what we had. Yeah.
That's what we had. But when I see where my daughter is now, it's like, wow, this is amazing. And then to have to process the fact that one of these little kids could come in here with, some high-tech firearm and just tear it up. Like, this
we'll never stop that, DL.
No,
right,
you're
let's
right.
be honest, man. We've come so far as like saying we can stop the computer or the internet or something. You'll never be able to stop that without being extremely tyrannical. You could stop every fucking 6'5", and then when a 5-year-old shoots somebody, you got to drop it to 4-year-old out. 3-year-olds got to go through metal detectors, pat downs, and armed guards. Protected diapers, armed guards on the perimeter. If you're gonna even think about starting to pull that off,
and all you do is shift the target. All right, well, the school's a hard target, the mall's a hard target, but the church is a soft target. You know what I mean? I could go over here to Walmart's a soft target, and they just gonna go to those places. You can't be everywhere.
And then you have to do that to the Walmart. Stop it! You can't do background checks on a motherfucker coming to buy a fucking bag of Skittles, man. Stop it!
Right, and that's where we are, But I mean, they're gonna have, like you said, they're gonna have to do something. And I really think
freedom is scary. Let's
It
put
is.
that on the table first. Things will happen. You won't be able to stop it. You won't give enough cops or crime won't happen. That's not a thing. So stop selling it to me, not you. I'm talking about my
Mhm.
politicians. Stop selling me that you can make my shit 100% safe because it's not a thing.
It can't be done. That's an absolute fact. I live in a great neighborhood, and you know what? I'm able to mitigate maybe 95%. Like there's things that I went through that my daughter would have never even seen. You know, and that's
And
and to me that's good, but it's also bad. It's also
exactly. It
bad.
makes you what you are. And if anything ever occurs, I think the world should be harsh. If anything ever occurs, these people nowadays will not be prepared, man. In fact, I also think it lends toward their ability to be mind warped so easily because they don't do things with their hands. They don't experience, play 5 different sports. Every kid in the neighborhood knows 5 different sports because you're outdoors so much. All they know is this computer bullshit. So the person who masters this masters my kid. You know, I'm scared about that shit.
Now
They're
you're
gonna be
right, man. Things have
TikTok short
changed.
attention spans. You know, they're they're
Yeah.
they're programming my kids.
They live inside. Here's the thing. You can when we were kids, bro, and they would send us outside and just give us a ball. And most people be like, "What y'all gonna do with a tennis ball?" Like, well, I'm gonna throw it
Stop
down and
it.
knock it up. I'm gonna knock it up
Off
against
the
the
wall,
wall.
4
Yeah,
corners,
four
handball,
corner
racquetball.
handball,
Yeah, I got 8 uses for this
dodgeball.
thing. Dodgeball, stop and
Yeah,
go, whatever. Stop
yeah.
it.
Stop it. Go
Uh,
find a stick. You don't need a baseball bat, man. Just go find a stick. You go around. You know, we was in the hood. You go around. Somebody done threw away an old broom or something. You just take that
yeah.
broomstick, break it. Now you got your little baseball. You know what I mean? Playing a little stick ball. There's so many
For
things you can do
for years people did that shit. I mean, that was, your
for
cheap
generations.
baseball forever. Yes, for generations people did that shit. Yeah,
Generations. We send you outside with nothing. What if you send 2 kids? You and 3 other kids outside, and y'all just outside. What can you do? Well, name 3 games y'all can play right now. Just 3 of y'all.
well, I'm assuming nothing because if you give me a fucking
You ain't got no
basketball
no
or
no nothing. No basketball. No softball.
yes,
No tennis ball. Nothing. Just you and 2 other kids. You and 3 other kids. Y'all outside. What y'all gonna do?
well, the first shit we're gonna play is that running bases. I don't know if you did. Shit, running bases needs a ball. Take that back because somebody got to throw the ball. Blah blah blah. Take that back. I don't know, man. I don't know what I do without a
Shit, we
with.
play high.
I
We
could
play tag. We
I
play
could think of
freeze
stop
tag.
and go, hide and seek, but us young people. I was trying to bring it up with a little other age. I can't think of nothing older people would have done
Man, we
without
were
anything.
doing up until 14, bro. We'll take somebody's shoe. All right. We'd like take an old shoe and use that as a football. We're playing Killer Man. Like we had the shoes of
Yes,
football. We out there tackling each other.
yes, bombs, grenades, and shit. Yes, and
Yeah.
fucking
But the point we're trying to make here for you guys who are watching, when we went outside, we had to be what? Creative.
man. Every kid in my neighborhood could play 4 different sports. Right, so it was nothing to get together enough kids to play baseball, football, or whatever. Because you were outdoors so much, you played every fucking thing. Now kids they rarely see grass, they ain't never swung a baseball bat. And we got with a bat and a ball, we got 8 different games for that. It ain't just one, it's 8 different fast pitch, slow pitch, off the wall, strike them out. You got a million fucking things with that shit you can do.
A
Uh,
million, and Brother Penny is like if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Like, bro, you'd be
yeah.
surprised. We used to play dodgeball with basketballs, bro. We played dodgeball with a softball, man. Like you didn't want to get hit.
Right. We
Wonder
play
how we got so
football
quick.
with the softball. Yes,
Yeah,
fuck yeah.
yeah. So I mean, you played pickle. You know what I mean?
Uh,
You had 2 bases in the ball. You get, you
yes.
got 1 base running and 2
Yes,
2
yes,
fielders.
yes, yeah. We used to call it
So
running bases. That's what we
that's
call it.
okay.
But
We
it's the
called it
same
pickle.
game.
Yeah,
Yes, I was good at it. All
yeah.
lacrosse. There's one older people playing. You don't need anything. You lined up. You say all across. One person tags somebody. Then all across. Now you got 2 people. Now you got 4, and all across. I was good at that shit. We played
Yeah.
that shit. All the way up to like high school.
Hey, bro, we had a game called Having for Supper. And what we would do is somebody would take their belt off. We would hide the belt and then call all the kids. Like the person with the belt goes, hides the belt. All the kids are around the building. Once you had the belt, you scream Having for Supper. And all the kids come running looking for the belt, right? And you'd be like, oh, Joe Cool's getting hot. And other kids run over like, oh, base is getting warm. You know what I mean? Oh, so-and-so's getting,
Yeah.
they cold now. But then they're like, oh, he's hot, he's burning up. And then you find that belt and you can beat anybody with the belt until they get to base. So he had to run away from it.
Right.
And I know people are like, man, that sounds awfully violent. It was.
It probably was.
It was, but it was kids. And you couldn't use the buckle. You had to just use the leather part or
Yes,
whatever. You couldn't hit them
yes.
with the buckle. But you know,
Yeah.
they would, you know, if they
Yeah.
caught you, you got to beat them up with it. So you had to be quick. You know what I mean? And you
Yeah.
always knew when somebody was right there because the person who hit it is halfway to base. They're like, oh, Joe Cool burning up. He already running. So when you see that, everybody
Telling
start
on
running
himself.
the base. Everybody just start running the base.
And
Like,
follow him. Right?
so these are the games we used to play, man. You had to be creative. These days, kids
Yeah.
aren't creative, man.
Let's get back
Um,
to is there well, we already said it can't be 100% prevented. So what good comes out of this? What good do I get from these motherfuckers coming up and locking up that 14? Might just soothing motherfuckers. Is the next 14-year-old gonna think twice because he's gonna say, well, the last guy, he got tried as an adult, so I better not shoot up the school. What is if I lock somebody dad up, would the next dad be like, well, I'm going to lock my gun up because my kid, who I love and trust, may steal my gun and kill someone at school? No one's thinking that shit, but he's going to take that extra precaution.
I
What are
don't
we
know,
doing?
bro. If I have a weirdo son or weirdo daughter, let's come on now. Like I love my daughter to death, but she was a weirdo. I know she's a weirdo. Like, if she was a real, I call her a weirdo. I make fun, but my daughter's normal. She's a nerd. She loves me.
Right.
She's not a weirdo.
I
When
guess
you
the
got those-
weirdo is somebody wearing black and the black makeup and shit. Yeah.
And even that to me isn't a big thing if they're just normal kids. They're just expressing themselves. But I'm talking about the ones that's like, you know, trying to hurt little animals, the ones that are
Yeah.
always, you know, doing these
Yeah.
things that you know are bad.
Yes.
Could, you know, if
Yeah.
parents knew that they are responsible and could be financially and, you know, and locked up, like financially responsible and maybe get locked up, will that parent, you know,
Financial might be an option. I didn't consider that. Well, financial, I would certainly give that consideration. That sounds
Mhm.
logical. I debate that one. Yeah, that might be.
so you would say you're not with, okay, we're gonna lock you up for the deeds of your 14-year-old. We're not
Right.
gonna lock you up, even though, you know, unless it's so blatantly obvious, like, you know, the text
Right.
messages when the kid
Outside of those.
Outside of that, if it's just a normal situation where the parent did trust their child, the child
Right.
took the weapon, did this horrible thing, and
Right.
you're like, nah, we shouldn't lock them up for that. But
Right.
would you allow them to be open to civil cases?
I'm
where
even
people can
thinking
sue 'em?
it should happen. I'm even thinking
Hmm.
that should be a rule or something where it's just like the same with my 14-year-old who I gave the car on the farm. He fucking ran into Jack's cow. He don't have a job. I think it falls on me. Financial is open, maybe even logical. Yeah. And the other thing, if we weren't so cruel, I might consider. I cannot consider it because I know how cruel we are. We would beat up an old lady if she don't want to sign a ticket. My buddy in court, he's a sovereign citizen. I made a video about him recently. They want him to stand at the podium. He don't want to follow their rules, so he stood over here closer to the judge. And they beat the shit out of dude, electrocuted him, and all of that bullshit. You know, he was like a
You mean the
wounded.
taser? Hit him with
The
the taser?
taser, yeah. He was
Yeah.
a wounded veteran. He got shot in the spine. Was lucky to be able to walk. He was on a cane and shit. A Marine. I almost said ex-Marine, but I think you motherfuckers are Marines till you die.
Yeah, they call
Right.
themselves former Marines. Yeah, that's what they
Yeah,
say.
okay, former Marines. Yeah, so yeah, he was one of those, man. He could barely get around. Y'all didn't have to beat him up and all of that shit. I forgot where I was going with that. I might.
But because we were talking about, well, to what extent should parents be held responsible? I really think that parents should hold more responsibility in certain cases. Again, when you're talking about just middle of the road, let's say you got a single mom, she's working constantly, she's got
Right.
2.5 jobs, and you know she has a shotgun or
Yeah.
something for protection because she's in the bad
Right,
neighborhood.
right.
And that
Very
kid gets
good.
the shotgun and goes out and just start busting their cars.
And
going
there's
back
so
and
many.
forth.
The kid has not shown any things. He's not killing
Right.
small animals. He's a regular
Right.
kid that gets
Regular
seized.
kid.
Yeah,
Got amped up watching, you know, playing Grand Theft Auto or something, or watching
right,
Boys in the Hood.
right. Yeah, all
Gets,
that
let's say he gets to just point it out the window and just, you know, just letting it go.
shit. Right.
Should that mother be held 100% liable for that act? I
It
would
would-
say no in that instance. She's working.
We can't
she's a
ruin
good
her
mom.
life. Right.
Right, for something. And then because people are like, well, she should be home. Like, well, who, if she's home, who's going to pay for home? Who's going to pay
Then
for all the
who's
bills?
gonna put food in the kids' mouth?
Right. And you know, so But if the same scenario, you got a mom who doesn't work, she's at home, dad's working, and the same scenario, the kid gets hold of the weapon and just starts firing at people. I think that parent should be held accountable.
Yes, maybe they pay a higher price.
But you're saying no jail time in that, and no, and
I
either one of
am
those is
saying, and no, not in those. It's absolutely not, because 100% of the time it will be abused. If there was some way you can guarantee me, and there is none, that for that lady who does that, and some harsh to me, like might be a month away from your kid, your family might not might fold if you take one of them out of there for 30 days. So that would be extreme. And we knew 100% that this lady knew that the kid was running around, didn't know he was going to kill somebody, but knew he was irresponsible, and brought around and stolen cars, carjacking motherfuckers with his friends or whatever the fuck. But there's no fucking way. What's more likely going to happen is it's going to be a group of 8 motherfuckers who know nothing about the hood sitting down saying that she should have known little Johnny, he was in a gang. She should have known he was going to kill somebody. Nigga, everybody in gangs. Fuck do you mean you're going to end up with that type of bullshit?
Well, you could call my football team a gang. My baseball team was a gang. You're going to be in something I get that. There are people who are in legit sets, but you gotta line with somebody in them hoods just to move around.
So pretty much, that's all it is where
don't
you
mean you
are,
out there
is
banging.
what you are. It's not like you choose to be it, because if you're born here, that you in the neighborhood gang, that you do that for protection and all that bullshit.
Because in Cincinnati, when I came up, it was your high school more than your neighborhood. So like if you were out with your high school and the rival high school, some other high school had drama, bro, you gotta do what you gotta do. But it was also the neighborhood thing. So it's like, well, I'm at my high school, but then when I go into my homeboy's neighborhood, even though we go to the same high school, my neighborhood and his neighborhood got problems.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So like, well, what do I do? Like, sometimes you just sitting there. We got Scam Likely in the building. What's good, fam? It's like consequences don't work. Well, because we don't have any consequences. We got Don 007. Like cars are a bad example. You have to use something like alcohol. No, but I think you missed the part we were talking about with the car. We're not talking about a kid, a teenager who's licensed and more mature and legally like has their license or learns permit. We're talking about if a grown up gives a 10-year-old the car. Here are the keys, give you the car, and they teach the other one kid working the pedals, the other kid standing up in the seat, and they out there trying to drive the car, and they done, deleted somebody, did something horrific.
And
with that
the
car.
other kid we were talking about is how they have farms. You can get your kid a license where he can drive because it's so necessary out there. Where in the city it might be 16, there it might be 14. And that kid had not got his 14-year-old license, but he was doing all the shit for the farm, and he drives down into so-and-so's ditch and takes out their water supply or something. He said the old man should be responsible.
Right, that's what we were talking about. So there's levels to it. We're not talking about just a straight, well, anybody, your kid does something wrong and now you got to go do time. We're not saying that. But if you are negligent, like the 2 parents in Michigan, they gave the boy the weapon. He went to school and used it. There's text messages saying, here's what we're gonna do.
Remember the girl whose mother, she was a cheerleader, and mother helped kill somebody in order so she can get the cheerleading spot. Yeah, that parent was absolutely involved. They made a movie or 6 about that shit. The little girl was a cheerleader, and her competition got the spot, so her mom set up to have the kid's mom killed. So she helped her daughter would get the spot suddenly or something.
That goes without saying right there. Like, that's just conspiracy to commit murder. That goes without saying.
There's a law for that already.
That's something that's over there. Like, oh my God. But if you give somebody a weapon, you give a kid a weapon and they go and do something stupid with it, I think there should be some accountability. Brother Jay's in the building. What's good? Detroit. What them Lions gonna do this year, man? What them Lions gonna do, bro? Football season starts tomorrow, right? And then Sunday's the first NFL Sunday, but tomorrow
football is about the only sport I watch nowadays, man.
Oh, who you rocking with? Why don't we take a quick break from the seriousness? Who you rocking with? You a Bears guy?
I got no idea. I'm a Bears guy, but we always lose, so we always root for the Bears. But no, I'm not a Bears guy. I like an air game, Philly or I don't know. I can't. Anybody who's got a good air game, I'm probably hawking that shit. Yeah.
Vipers on that. Like my kid deletes someone, I go to jail, but my kid can change genders and they won't even tell me. depending on where you are in the country. That's a good point. Depends on where you are in the country, bro. It depends on where you are in the country. I'm definitely not with that. That whole gender thing. I can't believe that's a thing. Mandrell's in the building. What's good? Mandrell is a former Green Beret. Mandrell, man, why don't you jump up here, bro? Why don't you jump up here, Mandrell, man? Here go the link. I want to hear what you have to say, man, about this, because I
Yeah,
believe that
Mandrell,
parents should
hop
be
up.
held.
I could eat my pizza, Mandrell, if we got somebody else up here talking, man.
Yeah, I mean, if you got to go, brother, I ain't mad at you. I'm so glad you took time out to holler at me, bro. For real, Joe.
All
Cool,
right.
man. Ah, man,
I'm
I
glad
appreciate
that
you,
you
man.
thought about it after you left. You thought about it. I love that you did that shit. I told my girl, I was like, hey, I got a text from a man. I'm like an hour ago, but he thought about it. So yeah, I
Yeah,
thought that was great.
because I wanted to, because I wanted to have the conversation, bro, and I love talking to good people. You good people, man. You passionate about what you do. Yeah, I warm up on. Hey, man, you need to check out that California Pizza Kitchen frozen pizza, CPK
Yeah.
frozen pizza.
All
They
right.
sell them down here. They got them in Target. I think they got them in your local grocers. This is an unpaid advertising, man. My daughter loves them things, man. I had one
CPK.
for lunch. Yep, CPK frozen pieces, man. Get the barbecue chicken and the 4 cheese, bro.
Oh
Bro,
man, I like meat, man. I like
bro.
my shit
They
so
got
greasy. You
that
get a
too.
napkin to get that shit up.
Ooh, bro,
Yeah.
you still alive, man? How the hell you guy got all that grease running around?
I went to New York. My first stop was to get a pizza, bro. I had watched that shit on TV so long, man. Thank you.
He had to get
All
a
right, all
slice.
right. I'm gonna bail and eat my pizza, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for coming through.
2 of them, yeah.
Peace. So we got Don DeMarco, the brother Joe Cool, man. Don DeMarco, the brother Joe Cool. Like, yeah, when we were on earlier, and he said what he had to say, and he wanted me to drop the link, and I had to go get my daughter. And it stayed on my mind. Like, man, I want to hear what the OG has to say. And I mean, like I said, I get where he's coming from. I would say that in a perfect world where we could guarantee that there would be no abuse of the laws on the books that hold parents accountable for kids like this, I think that he would agree with it. But he knows, and I know, that that's not going to happen. We both know that those laws get used in different ways. And I agree with him. He's absolutely right. So I was talking about a Michigan school shooter. And the parents were locked up for the actions of their child. I don't know if you guys remember this, but here's the story right here. This is Associated Press. So Michigan school shooter parents sentenced to 10 years in prison for not stopping a runaway train. So this is April 9th of this year, 2024. This article came out. This is Pontiac, Michigan. The first parents convicted in a U.S. school shooting, a mass school shooting, were sentenced to at least 10 years in prison Tuesday, as a Michigan judge lamented missed opportunities that could have prevented their teenage son from possessing a gun and deleting 4 students in 2021. These convictions are not about poor parenting. Oakland County Judge Cheryl Matthews said these convictions confirm repeated acts or lack of acts that could have halted an oncoming runaway train. The hearing in a crowded, tense courtroom was the climax of an extraordinary effort to make others besides the 15-year-old attacker criminally responsible for a school shooting. Jennifer and James Crumley did not know Ethan Crumley had a gun. All right. Did I read that correctly? Jennifer and James Crumley, the parents, did not know Ethan Crumley, the child, had a gun. He called it his beauty in a backpack when he was dropped off at Oxford High School, but prosecutors convinced jurors that the parents still played a disastrous role in the violence. Wow. Okay. I thought they knew. Let's get into this, because I think there are text messages in this one. The Crumleys were accused of not securing a newly purchased gun at home and acting indifferently to signs of their son's deteriorating mental health, especially when confronted with a chilling classroom drawing earlier that same day. The Crumleys earlier this year were convicted of involuntary manslaughter. The blood of our children is on your hands too, Craig Schilling told the couple wearing a hoodie with the image of his son, Justin Schilling, on his chest. Nicole Beauty Soul Ely, the mother of a shooting victim, said the Crumleys had failed at parenting. While you were purchasing a gun for your son and leaving it unlocked, he was helping her finish. I was helping her finish her college essays, is what the mother was saying about her fallen child. Prosecutor Karen McDonald asked the judge to stretch beyond the sentencing guidelines and order a minimum 10-year prison sentence. Defense attorney sought to keep the Crumleys out of prison, noting they'd already spent 2.5 years in jail, unable to afford the $500,000 bond after their arrest. They will get credit for the jail time and become eligible for parole after serving 10 years in custody. If release from prison is denied, they could be held for up to 15 years. 5 deputies in this suburban Detroit courtroom stood closely over the couple, and more lined the walls as James Crumley, 47, had been recorded in jail making threats towards McDonald. Before the sentencing, he stood and insisted that he did not know his son was deeply troubled. All right, so this is about what they knew and when they knew it, kind of stuff. My heart is really broken for everybody involved. I have cried for you and your loss of your children more times than I can count, he said. The couple had separate trials in Oakland County Court, 40 miles north of Detroit. Jurors saw the teens violently drawn on a school assignment and heard testimony about the crucial hours before the attack. And so they got 10 years. I'm trying to get to the part as to why they decided that the jury decided that they were guilty. Ethan Crumley sketched images of a gun, a bullet, and a wounded man on a math paper, accompanied by despondent phrases: "The thoughts won't stop. Help me. Blood everywhere. My life is useless." This is a drawing that the kid made and put that on. He put that on his assignment. My bad, guys, is jumping around. Let me see if I can. Hold on, guys. My bad. I lost the. Let's just do this. And I apologize. See if I could find a place where we left off. So the kid was basically asking for help. Like, he's seeing all this stuff. He's asking for help. Right? He said, "My life is useless." He told the counselor he was sad. A grandmother had died and his only friend suddenly had moved away. But said that the drawing only reflected his interest in creating the video game. His parents were called in to a hasty meeting at his school that lasted 15 minutes. They did not mention that the gun resembled the one James Crumley had purchased just 4 days earlier, a Sig Sauer 9mm. All right, so it's like, okay. So they're having a meeting. They're talking to a counselor. They didn't mention that, yeah, you know what? I just bought a gun that looked just like that. Mother and son had fired 50 rounds at the shooting range and took 50 more home. Jennifer Crumley described the gun on social media as an early Christmas gift. So the family bought this weapon. They took the minor to the range. 50 rounds. That's, it's a good amount, like about 25 rounds each. If they would split it up evenly, brought 50 more rounds home. All right. And the kid is making these drawings and these violent drawings and stuff. Right. So school staff did not demand that the teen go home during the meeting, but were surprised when the Crumleys did not volunteer it. Instead, they left with a list of mental health providers and said they were returning to work. So the parents come to schools. They're talking about the kid. They're worried about this kid. He's violent. We think, look at these drawings. Look at what he's saying. Parents are like, okay. They give them a list of mental health providers. Okay, we got to go back to work. Bye. They leave the kid there at school. Later that day, on November 30th, 2021, their son pulled a handgun from his backpack and began shooting, deleting Schilling, Baldwin, Tate Marie, and Hannah St. Juliana, and wondering and wounding several other people. No one had checked the bag. Wow. Wow, no one checked the bag. So I guess, there's responsibility on both sides there. Ethan Crumbley, now 17, is serving a life sentence for murder and other crimes. His parents ignored things that a reasonable person feel the hair. Let me see. The parents ignored things that would make a reasonable person feel the hair on the back of their neck stand up, the judge said. Opportunely knocked over and over again, louder and louder, and was ignored. No one answered. So the judge is saying, yeah, man, y'all should have known better. Jennifer Crumbley began her remarks by expressing deepest sorrow about the shooting. She also said her comment at her trial about looking back and not doing anything differently was completely misunderstood. I guess they asked her probably in arraignment or something if she would do anything differently. She's like, nah, I wouldn't do anything differently. Which is crazy. We got Brother Knightish in the building. What's good, fam? Man, Joe can't make it on the panel now. That's cool. It's all good, man. We'll get you up here one day. I don't do panels often, but when I do, I like having you on the panels, bro. Appreciate you, man. So the mom in court said she wouldn't have done anything different looking back. And she's like, oh, that was misunderstood. Like, my son did seem so normal. I didn't have any reason to do anything different, is what she was saying. She blamed the school for not giving her the bigger picture about Ethan Crumbley, sleeping in class, watching the video of mass shootings, writing negative thoughts about his family. The prosecution is trying to mold us into the types of parents society wants to believe are so horrible only a school or mass shooter could be bred from. We were good parents. We were the average family. I mean, man, I don't know. During the trials, there was no testimony from specialists about Ethan Crumbley's mental health, but the judge, over the defense objections, allowed the jury to see excerpts from his journal. So they didn't have the head shrinker talk, but they read from the journal, from Ethan's journal. It looks like, I have zero help for my mental problems, and it's causing me to shoot up the school. He wrote, I want help, but my parents don't listen to me, so I can't get any help. Wow. Wow. I bet the defense was up in ours. Like, we can't just read that in school. The kid was asking for help, it seems, according to his writing, but we don't know what was going on in the house. Relatives of the victims were not impressed by Crumbley's courtroom comment. Yeah, you wouldn't be. Like, those are the parents of the kid that deleted your family members. You don't care how they feel at that point. You want them to go to jail. The remorse that they were shown has nothing to do with taking accountability for their actions. That's the father of one of the children who were murdered. I'm sure they were sad. People lost their lives. I'm sure they're sad that their son's in jail, sad that they're in jail. What's important for them to recognize is they made the mistakes. The judge will decide later whether the Crumbleys will be allowed to have contact with their son while the three are in separate prisons. Though McDonald, the prosecutor, said corrections departments typically prohibit communication between co-defendants. Defense lawyers said that the Crumleys have a constitutional right to be a family, but McDonald wondered about the parents of the victims. The parents in the courtroom have been deprived of their constitutional rights to be parents, and that matters, she told reporters. So that's that thing that happened in Michigan with the kid. I thought that there were text messages back and forth. So I was wrong on that, or maybe I mixed it up with another case. And there's also a woman in Newport News, Virginia, who got 2 years in jail. Her son, her little one, like a first grader, took her weapon to school, fired it, wounding the teacher. And then they locked the mom up for 2 years, not because of the gun, not because her son had the gun, but because she was an avid smoker of the green and she had it all over the house and she didn't properly secure the weapon. And they used a law they had on the books that says you're not supposed to have a weapon and be using the green like that. You know what I mean? You know, the marijuana. So She got 2 years for that. Yeah, man. This is this is sad. I think parents should be held accountable for their kids. If your kid gets a hold of your weapon, and it could be proven that you were negligent on your part, that you should have seen things, you should have known things, and you didn't, I think you should have to sit down. Brother Joe Cool says, nah, not really. He doesn't believe that. I think you should have to sit down. And I also think that you should be financially held responsible for it. So if the grieving families want to come after you, and if you have anything worth taking, they should be able to take it. Like, you should get a judgment against you. I believe that. Now, who decides, what level of negligence it takes for you to get locked up? I guess that would be for a jury and a judge to decide. But, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Now, I know that, everyone really wanted to talk about the red pill stuff and the dating stuff. We'll talk about it tomorrow, right? We'll get back on track tomorrow. I promise you. But today, with everything that's going on in Georgia, I definitely wanted to talk about this. I wanted to, have this quick conversation just to put that out there, to plant that seed. Should parents be held responsible? I think parents should be held responsible more, more often than not. I think as a parent, it's on us to raise our kids and be responsible for our kids' actions, especially when it comes to horrific violence, when it comes to like weapons and guns and, them going out doing things and hurting people. I think we should be held responsible. If we give kids, if I give, a 3-year-old some scissors and I let them run around and a 3-year-old falls and stabs someone on accident, that's my fault, not the kid's fault. Like, who gave this little kid scissors and let them run around with them, right? I think that we need to hold parents accountable for their kids when their kids mess up bad like this. Sometimes the parents just don't have the bandwidth. They don't have the time. They're not there. They can't basically raise their kids because they're too busy working so they can afford to put food on the table and a roof over their heads. I get that. But, we just can't let it go. Right. If you got a bad kid and that kid is out there doing bad things and you're protecting that kid, which I see all the time. You guys might see it sometimes, but I see it all the time. Somebody's kid is out here doing bad things and the parent, the mom or the dad will run out there and want to fight everyone else because the kid is acting up. I mean, that's wrong, man. Your kid is out here, keying people cars, smashing windows and whatnot, just doing this horrific stuff. And the mom comes running out talking about, don't you say nothing to my kid? Nah, it wasn't like that in the 70s, bro. You did something like that, we can't beat the kid, so we're going to beat you. That's how it used to be. The police would come like, well, we're going to come get your kid and take him off the juvie. And if you act up, they're going to take you off the grown-up jail. That's how it used to be. But now it's not that way. People are like, don't shame me. You don't know what it's like over here and blah, blah, blah. Well, these 2 parents got locked up because their kid took their weapon and went to school and shot up the school. So there's a lot to be said about the school not sending that kid home for the day, but it doesn't mean he want to come back the next day and did it. But they left him in school that day. Like, they could have just told him like, y'all got to take the kid out. He's going with y'all. We got to go to work, man. That's not our problem. He's leaving. But I don't know. That's my thoughts on that, man. Y'all let me know what your thoughts are. I'm going to link the video from the interview below, and I'll link the article from the Associated Press below if you guys want to check that out. Yeah, man, I'm done for the night, bro. Again, shout out to Brother Joe Cool. Appreciate you, brother, for coming on, man. That was fire. Always a good time. You bring Brother Joe Cool on, man. It's going to be what's going to be, bro. You're going to get a real conversation, man. That's what I needed today. Tomorrow, for sure, guys, we're going to be talking about the dating world. We're going to be talking about, like, dudes, this is what we're going to talk about tomorrow. So a lot of guys out there hit me up and they're talking about these women and they're like, man, she won't go out with me unless I take her to this place, this or that place, or provide this experience. And, they always want to know why. We're going to talk about that tomorrow, guys. I'll tell you why that's going on. And I'll tell you what I think you should do about it, bro. I'll tell you what you should do about it. Right. And we're going to talk about that. So until then, I'm DL Saint, man. This is the I Really Want to Know podcast, man. I will see y'all tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.
Nothing seen. It's just a thing of beauty.
Darn, that's the end.